I was that kid up in my bedroom with the Radio Shack stereo. My favorite thing was just to sit up and listen to my music.
Richard Goodall's journey to America's Got Talent was anything from typical, taking him from mopping floors to becoming the center of attention. The fact that this modest village janitor's powerful voice went viral proved that sometimes the best qualities are right where you least expect them. The childhood of Richard. A lifelong lover of music, Richard Goodall spent his formative years in a little Indiana hamlet. He used to jam out to his old Radio Shack records for hours on end when he was a kid. Despite doing odd jobs to make things meet, his lifelong passion for music never wavered. Richard was a custodian at Chauncey Rose Middle School for 23 years. The school was located just 3 streets away from his house. Despite its lack of glamour, Richard was able to care for his family and enjoy a steady income from the position. Richard discovered methods to integrate his passion for music into his everyday life, even if his employment was modest. He gained a reputation as the singing janitor because he often broke into song while sweeping the halls or performing at school functions. Despite his modest demeanor and official position, his commanding voice charmed both students and instructors. Richard was happy performing for his tiny but adoring audience at school, even though many urged him to reach a wider audience. The school community began to adore Richard's spontaneous performances. When he felt no one was listening, he would sing in the cafeteria at lunch or during assembly. Classic rock and country were among his many musical styles, but he was especially fond of Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'," a song that would have a profound impact on his life. In the end, Richard would find himself on one of the country's most prestigious stages, all thanks to the school community's unwavering support and encouragement. Because he never lost faith in his voice, he was going to go from being a school janitor to being a national celebrity, an instant classic. Something unexpected happened to Richard in the summer of 2022. At Davis Park Elementary School's end-of-year concert, he was requested to sing a solo. Richard, dressed in his work attire and adorned with a massive set of keys hanging from his belt, ascended the stage and started singing instead of his normal pick, "God Bless the USA" by Lee Greenwood. His choice, as always, was Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'." An enormous and rapid response ensued. After only knowing Richard as the shy janitor who kept the school tidy, the children were astounded at the strength of his voice. They were so engrossed in his performance that they danced and swung their arms. As Richard sang the famous chorus, the grown-ups in the audience were clearly impacted, with several wiping away tears. A special education teacher's assistant, Mariah Dennehy, decided to capture Richard's performance on her phone because she was so moved by his talent. She uploaded the video on TikTok later that night in the hopes that it might make someone laugh. Nobody could have predicted what occurred next. The video gained over 1 million views in less than a week after becoming viral. The discovery of such a remarkable voice emanating from a school janitor stunned people across the globe. Many people were surprised that Richard wasn't already a famous singer and commented on how talented he was. Richard wasn't prepared for the unexpected spotlight. "I've never got this type of reaction," he remarked in an interview with a local news station. "I don't know what to think of all this. I'm just a guy who likes to sing." Notable figures in the music business were captivated by the video that went viral. When Steve Perry, who was once lead vocalist of Journey and co-writer of "Don't Stop Believin'," watched the video, he said, "I love this." Richard's performance reached even more people since the official Journey TikTok account uploaded it. As a result of his sudden prominence, Richard was able to experience opportunities he had never imagined. Even entertainment agencies sent invitations for him to perform at their functions. All of a sudden, the terre haute janitor who could sing was becoming noticed by the entertainment world. Prior attempts at an audition. Richard had been working toward his goal of being a professional singer for years, but his viral moment made it seem like he became famous suddenly. Richard tried out for America's Got Talent in 2009, long before he became famous on TikTok. With high hopes and anticipation, he made the journey to Chicago for the auditions, but he was cut from the first round. It was difficult to digest the rejection. Though disheartened, Richard did not feel defeated as he returned to Terre Haute. Even if his aspirations of being famous seemed to be fading, he persisted in singing at school functions and community meetings, sustaining his enthusiasm. Friends and family urged Richard to give it another go years later, and he did. He decided to target another famous singing competition, The Voice this time. After weeks of preparation, he finally settled on Don't Stop Believin' to soundtrack his audition video. With the hope that his ability would finally be acknowledged, Richard gave his all to the performance. Richard nervously read the email from the producers of The Voice. It was yet another rejection, unfortunately. The correspondence said, "Thank you so much for auditioning in our virtual open call. We have reviewed your performance of Don't Stop Believin'. Unfortunately, you will not be moving on to the next round. Please keep working, and we hope to see you again next season." Given the support he was getting from his neighborhood, Richard found it extra difficult to deal with these rejections. Posting on Instagram, he expressed his dissatisfaction, saying, "Just so everyone knows, I'm worthy of The Voice. But I'll try for AGT, but regular people just don't cut it in this world. Love you all for your support." The resolve of Richard was unfaltering in the face of these obstacles. He kept on singing, kept on believing in his abilities, and kept on hoping for his big break. Unbeknownst to him, his TikTok video would quickly become a game-changer: America's Got Talent tryouts. Richard chose to return to America's Got Talent in 2024, buoyed by his viral success and the overwhelming love from fans throughout the globe. This time around, he went into the audition process with a combination of self-assurance from his internet celebrity and the modesty that comes with persevering through years of rejection. Richard was overcome with anxiety when he took the stage at AGT. It was overwhelming to think that this may be his last opportunity to achieve his ambition, what with all the flashing lights and the eager expressions on the faces of the judges. Simon Cowell, who is notorious for his critical remarks, saw that Richard was anxious and said, "Shake off those nerves, Richard. We are here. We are rooting for you." Richard took a big breath and started singing Don't Stop Believin' again, with the crowd and judges cheering him on. The whole audience became silent as he released the first notes. Years of honing his voice in school halls and at community events gave Richard a strong voice that surprised everyone with its depth and intensity. After then, there came a performance that nobody could have predicted. The passionate performance was captured in every syllable as Richard's voice soars through the song's highs and lows. The judges' reactions shifted from adoration to curiosity as he sang. Astonishment spread across Howie Mandel, Sofia Vergara, and even Simon Cowell, who couldn't help but crack a grin. Despite the audience's initial skepticism, the modest janitor quickly gained their support and began to applaud enthusiastically. As Richard reached the last chorus, the whole audience joined in, enchanted by the enchantment. After a brief period of startled quiet, the audience erupted in resounding applause as the last note drifted away. With tears welling up in his eyes, Richard stood on stage, completely taken aback by the overwhelming reaction. The judges wasted little time praising the team. With emotion streaming down his face, Simon Cowell said, "Richard, you are my hero because that was special, genuinely special, and I think America is going to love you." Howie Mandel cut in with a lighthearted reference to Richard's day job. "You cleaned up the performance," which elicited laughs from the crowd. The night's greatest surprise, however, came from Heidi Klum. As she stood up from her seat, she said, "Richard, you absolutely floored me, and now this is what I'm going to do for you because I love you." With that, she pressed the golden buzzer, which sent Richard soaring into the air with golden confetti and straight to the live concerts. Richard was so moved that he collapsed to his knees as the confetti poured down. A new chapter was about to begin in his life as he transitioned from school janitor to golden buzzer recipient, an inside look. Richard was led backstage as the cameras stopped filming, his mind still reeling from the events of the previous few minutes. His fiancée, Angie, was his primary priority. Overwhelmed by passion, he said, "I got the golden buzzer." Even though Angie was ecstatic, her response revealed that she had always thought Richard was talented, saying, "I knew you could do it," she continued. "You've always been a star to me." Regrettably, Angie was unable to attend the event in person to experience it with Richard because of budgetary limitations. The obstacles Richard had to overcome on his way to the AGT stage were brought to light by this painful truth. Richard spoke out about his feelings about the event in an intimate confessional with the AGT creators. While firmly stating, "I couldn't help but cry," he proceeded to wipe away his tears. "I mean, me, you know? I'm just a regular person. I'm the guy that wipes down the tables, takes out the trash, and sweeps the floor." He took a moment to collect himself. "I kept on singing to the kids. I kept doing what I do. I mean, 'Don't Stop Believin'' has kind of been a mantra for me. And now, I got a golden buzzer." Regarding Richard's intentions for the live performances, the producers inquired. "I'm going to give it everything I've got," stated the man. "This is the chance I've been waiting for my whole life. I'm not going to waste it." As Richard began to process the gravity of his predicament, a flood of ideas began to swirl in his head. He planned his performance down to the last detail, including possible music, costumes, and message to America. Most importantly, however, he reflected on the many Terre Haute residents who had been there for him over the years and offered their support. "This isn't meant for just me," he said. "It's for everyone who's ever had a dream and been told they're too old, too ordinary, or too late to achieve it. I'm proof that it's never too late to chase your dreams." Life and my difficulties. Note that Richard's path hasn't been devoid of personal hardships, even though his AGT audition was a time of victory. Patricia Sue, Richard's wife of 30 years, was a huge cheerleader who often posted social media updates regarding his shows. As the pictures they shared of their vacations and other significant events show, their relationship was one of love and mutual respect. At every local performance, Patricia had been Richard's #1 cheerleader, telling him to keep going when he felt like giving up. After his initial AGT rejection, she was there to encourage him get back up and keep singing. Patricia received a devastating cancer diagnosis in 2020. The news was devastating to the couple, but they rallied around each other and tackled the problem with the same tenacity and will that had defined their love. Richard took it upon himself to be Patricia's main caretaker, juggling his responsibilities at school and the hospital. It didn't matter how much they tried, Patricia's health only got worse. I endured unimaginable anguish as the illness swiftly progressed. Richard was saddened when Patricia died at the age of 74 on June 21, 2021. Writing on Instagram, Richard expressed his sorrow, saying, "I'm so sorry, I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough. Cancer is like getting punched in the gut, falling to the ground, then told to get back up and start all over." After losing his wife and biggest supporter, Richard began to question everything, even his love for music. Richard was unable to sing for months after Patricia's death. It felt like he lost the spark that music had given him when he married. His schoolmates and pupils came together at this low point, and they urged him to rediscover the comfort of music. Richard gradually resumed singing. Starting out as a simple murmur as he worked, it eventually evolved into gentle singing in deserted corridors. When he mustered the courage, he resumed performing at school functions, paying respect to Patricia with each song. Richard met Angie in 2022, and his life took a further twist that nobody saw coming. Because they were both grieving the death of a loved one and loved music, they hit it off right away. Being a widow herself, Angie empathized with Richard's suffering and guided him through his mourning while also inspiring him to follow his heart. When Richard and Angie started dating, it was the beginning of a new chapter in his life. He felt optimism again and had the confidence to follow his aspirations. Recognizing Richard's skill and potential to motivate others via his narrative, Angie persuaded him to try out for AGT again, backing from the public. The people of Terre Haute rallied around Richard after his win on American Got Talent. The village, which had already recognized Richard's abilities, now embraced him with unparalleled fervor. Terre Haute local Chris Burson launched a GoFundMe page to contribute to Richard's competition costs. Chris shared on the campaign website, "Let's give Terre Haute, Indiana's AGT Golden Buzzer winner, our support." Richard traveled to the first competition alone on his first-ever flight. This August, he returns for 10 days to compete at the next level. Your generosity will allow him to have a worry-free experience financially. An enormous amount of people responded. The fundraiser received almost $19,000 from 382 contributors in only 10 days. Donors came from many walks of life, and many left encouraging remarks alongside their financial contributions. However, it wasn't the end of the support. At the Vigo County Fairgrounds, the community planned a magnificent farewell for Richard. Supporters and well-wishers in the hundreds flocked to the event. A stage was prepared for Richard's last performance before his departure to Hollywood, and local businesses generously supplied food and beverages. Richard had a few surprises during the party. Special guest Walker Hayes, a country music superstar who had just played with Richard at a nearby location, was in attendance. The new Buick, courtesy of Fuson Automotive, was handed to Richard by Hayes. "Someone gave me a car when I was in a tough situation starting my career," according to Hayes. "We thought, let's figure out a way to give this guy a car. He deserves it." A lifetime supply of their goods were also offered to Richard by local firm Mullins Dressing, which also joined in. Penny Shaw, the proprietor, said, "We just want to be part of it. We've been kind of in a new phase of Mullins ourselves, renovating, and I'm the new owner, so I kind of understand this whole dreaming it, doing it. It's exciting, and we want to be part of it too." The overwhelming show of solidarity rendered Richard mute. "I'm speechless," he murmured, his voice trembling with immense intensity. "I'm not often speechless, but this is overwhelming. I can't thank you all enough." The gathering was a moving tribute to the way Richard's tale had moved his neighbors. The opportunity for a modest, industrious guy to realize his ambition with the help of those who had known him from the beginning was more important than any natural ability or chance at fame he may have had. Getting ready for live performances. With the live AGT events just around the corner, Richard was caught in a mad dash to get everything ready. He was hell-bent on making the most of this chance, while simultaneously honoring his heritage and being authentic to who he was. While juggling rehearsals, interviews, and cleaning responsibilities, Richard persisted in his employment at West Vigo Middle School. "I'm still at the school," he informed a reporter from his surrounding area. "I'm still scraping boogers and painting walls. I'm still there, y'all. I'm still the same guy." Richard was able to reunite with his fiancée Angie on this trip because of the community fundraising. In the middle of the mayhem that is Hollywood, her presence brought comfort and solace. Richard improved his technique and repertoire with the help of the show's voice tutors. The forthcoming concerts filled him with equal parts excitement and anxiety. During an interview, he said, "I still can't comprehend all this. I don't think I'm worth all that fuss, but I'm ready to give it my all on stage again." We were under tremendous strain. Because he wanted to bring honor to his community, Richard competed in front of millions of viewers. After concluding his day at the school, he would spend hours upon hours rehearsing, and he would often sing till the wee hours of the morning. Richard kept his composure despite the demanding workload. His daily phone calls allowed him to stay in contact with his loved ones back in Terre Haute, including his children, grandkids, and supporters. Despite the overwhelming stress and exhaustion, he was motivated to keep going by their words of support. With the first live performance just around the corner, Richard paused to contemplate his remarkable adventure. "You know, I never thought I'd be here," he whispered in the dark among the stagehands. "I've been singing my whole life, but I never imagined it would lead to this." Because he was an ordinary guy in a divided society, Richard thought his tale had moved a lot of people. "People needed someone to cheer for," he pointed out. "They see in me a good person who deserves a shot at a better life, And I guess that's what we all want, isn't it? As he stood on the edge of fame, he reflected on the many unexpected turns his life had taken, losing his first wife, falling in love with Angie again, and now, here he was, on the verge of celebrity. "It's been quite an adventure," he said while laughing. "But you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. Every step of the way has led me here." Entering the following round of competition, Richard maintained an air of self-assured realism. Though he was cognizant that his new song would likely fall short of "Don't Stop Believin'," he remained resolute in his pursuit of excellence. "I've set my mind to do one thing. Go out there, sing a song, have fun. If I move on, great. If I don't, I'm already a winner," he told me with a grin. Not only is Richard Goodall's tale about a guy following his passions, but it is also about the strength that comes from being part of a community and persevering through difficult times. He shows that it's possible to follow one's passions at any age, going from the halls of high school to the AGT stage.